And welcome back, esports fans. We have got one more game to close out the night here at the PCS Week 4, Day 2. But of course, before we get into that, there's something we always must do, a little ritual, if you will, just to make sure things are going smooth. I would like to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, this is the match we've been waiting for tonight. J-Team will try their luck to see if they can knock one win off the Titans, the unkillable gods of the PCS, PSG Talon. So far, 13-0. No team has managed to do it. Boom came so close. Can J-Team go the distance?
13 typically is an unlucky number, so J-Team are looking for a bit of upset right here. They have been a team that has a long history with a lot of the members coming from the side of PSG. Mission especially has been around for a very long time, duking it out against Maple before he ever went into the LPL. And looking at the rest of the team, you know, J-Team, I think they did slide a little bit list split with Boom Esports overtaking them in the standings. But statistically, they actually hold the lead against PSG in a couple of categories, especially in their first tower race and their first Drake race. This is a team that knows how to play around their objectives, and they're much more focused on just getting big team fights into position. While on the other hand, PSG are much more focused on kills. They draft a lot more for these global compositions that just try to run you across the map. So we have a much more chaotic but elite team in PSG, and I think a much more conventional team on the side of the J-Team coming up onto the Rift.
J-Teams certainly like to try and play for a control game, but PSG is a team that will not let you do that very easily. You'll have to fight for everything you get on the Rift against these guys, and they are, of course, Hanabi, River, Maple, Unified, and Kaiwing. And honestly, there's just, I feel like I say it every week, but there's just so much to like on this roster. It's such an incredible squad, and it does feel like somebody different steps up each week. We've gotten to see Unified kind of really picking up the player of the week last time around. His Ziggs was incredible, really just snatching victory from the jaws of defeat by stealing away all the objectives from Boom Esports. But he's hardly the only one who stepped it up. Kaiwing, of course, flanking him in that bottom side has been an incredible presence. We've seen carry games on River. We've seen carry games on Maple. We've seen Hanabi just doing a great job playing weak side and strong side. But our matchup will, of course, be Hana versus River. Coming into the jungle, similar champion pools, in that a lot of junglers will share some of these champions. But definitely, I think the difference starts to diverge in terms of how much damage is dealt for the team.
Yeah, I really like that this is our head-to-head matchup, and I think it's been the main breaking point between PSG and the J-Team. A lot of people might think the difference is going to come from Maple versus Mission, but that really hasn't been the case. It's much more been about the jungle and the synergy between the mid-jungle that has gave PSG the upper hand. We have seen in the past, just River and Maple, a lot of times they close out on Vision a lot better. They're willing to catch out and wait for Mission to come out and ward and just kill him over and over again. And in a high-level matchup, that usually is the difference. Hana doesn't really play around mid lane as much. From what we've seen this split, Hana actually plays a lot more around rest. So the focus of these two junglers are a little bit different. And I think the picks that each bring out are also a little bit different. Hana, in my eyes, is much more utility. We do see a lot more of things just like the Volibear or Lee Sin come out for him. While I wouldn't be too surprised for PSG to just run again the Diana composition that they've done multiple times.
Certainly worked out well for them. We'll see if they're allowed it as J-Team open up by banning out the Thresh away and, of course, the Renekton on the opposite side, PSG. Ziggs has been a pretty perennial strong champion on the bottom side, so that's banned away, but also the Azir targeting out at Mission. And there's the Diana ban from J-Team. I do like this, but it does mean some power picks are going to come through here. I wonder if Viego makes it through, if it ends up being Xin Zhao, something like that. PSG, it's up to them to see what they want to allow.
You know, I love the drafting coming out from J-Team. I think they hit everything important right off the bat. Renekton has been PSG's go-to pick when they're on the red side. They will take it for Hanabi, they will take it for Maple, as we have seen, and it just allows them such a strong early game presence. So don't want that to get on the board. Definitely Xin Zhao going to be the pick of choice here. That's what most teams will go for, and Gwen on the other side. We had a bit of issue with Hanabi on Gwen, even though they still made the win. In their game against Alpha Esports, Hanabi was actually bullied incredibly hard by 3Z, and I could see that being an issue here. I don't think Gwen is as 100% a winning pick so far. We have seen Kanji with great answers. We have seen 3Z win out the lane, and Rest, of course, is no stranger to the pick. So I'm pretty sure that he is going to give us a bit of a counter pick. Talking about Rest, he actually has been the best player in my eyes in J-Team's entire squad. They play around him a lot with jungle focus. He is, frankly, just the best top laner, I would say, out of the PCS right now. Statistically, Hanabi still trumps him, but judging by the game content alone, I actually think Rest is much, much stronger in the lane.
We'll have to see if it works out. I mean, Hanabi's been... Honestly, a lot of the time he does get relegated to playing on the weak side anyway, so if the counterpick does come out, at least he'll be used to it. And we get a matchup that hasn't come out in about a week or so because LeBlanc's just been banned away so much. It will be the LeBlanc versus Lissandra mid lane matchup, although Mission should be very comfortable with this Lissandra. He's played both sides of the matchup a few times, but he is definitely more of a control mage player by trade. Maple has had so many champions this split, but LeBlanc has been one of them, but only once.
Yeah, it is his signature champion for sure, though. Dating all the way back to Season 5 when they took down Coup Tigers in their own group. So you always have to remember that LeBlanc coming into it. What J-Team is drafting like is, I feel like they're a little bit heavy on utility right now. They don't really have the main carry that can take the enemy team down in a late game team fight. So there's a lot riding on Rest's shoulder. He needs something that is scaling, and he also needs something that can fight Gwen. Not really a lot of options here. I wonder what he can go for as PSG just take away the Jace, something that Hanabi has struggled against.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm looking at the champions that Rest has played this split already. I mean, the Gangplank starts to come to mind a little bit. The Camille is always an option. Not sure how the first of those would fare as well up against the Gwen. But PSG banning out the Jace, definitely realizing that Rest is probably going to be the threat, so they want to remove as many options from him as possible, and they do ban that Camille. Do you think this is a GP-worthy game?
I actually think it's a Fiora game.
Oh, that's right, Fiora.
It is a champion where Rest has shied away from. People have given him the Fiora. We have seen the hovers, but he hasn't locked it in just yet. Even Camille, to me, is too much utility. Like, they actually just need a hard carry champion with the rest of this composition coming in from J-Team. We'll find out in the last two picks. For PSG, this looks like strong priority in 1-3-1. And, it never hurts to throw a Aphelios into this one, so not too surprised about this pick. Thresh is not available, but PSG, as usual, they can play without it. They have shown that they can just do it with the Braum. And Tomcatch is also up here.
Yeah, they're certainly not too worried about it. J-Team just flashing on the set right now. This would be, of course, a tanky pick if it went up topside or even on the support. We have seen it flex about, or at least the capability of it flexing about. It does get locked in as the timer ticks away. Even more utility.
Yeah, Set does have a good matchup against Gwen. We have talked about this a lot. Set plus Varus is a very strong teamfight composition early for Drakes, but I'm not exactly very enthusiastic about this team comp coming in from J-Team. I feel like it's strictly an early to mid-game team composition that they have drafted for themselves, which is perfectly fine. But J-Team is a team that actually plays quite slow against the upper half of the bracket. If you look at their games against the lower half of the bracket, they are probably one of the best speedrunning teams ever. But against the upper side, they do tend to slow down in the mid to late game. So I'm not particularly comfortable about this draft. I would feel a little bit better if the Tahm Kench actually was heading towards the top lane.
And it might be the case. We'll have to see what shakes out at the end there as the Leona gets locked in. PSG find themselves a pretty solid 1-3-1 here. Aggressive Gwen summoners. And might be Kench support, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. It seems like J-Team are kind of all-inning on the early and mid.
Yeah, it's a very, very aggressive early mid comp. There's a lot of strength around the board here. Winning matchups in the bottom line, winning matchups in the top side, and also Xin Zhao, the most dangerous jungle we have in the meta. So it looks like J-Team are going to try their speedrun strategy against PSG. On the other hand, PSG, I feel like they've just drafted a bunch of strong champions that you could say don't necessarily form a strong composition, but they have tools from start to finish. I think LeBlanc and Olaf combination early on is very deadly, and I would actually take that over the Xin Zhao and the Lissandra. On the other hand, they have a 4-1 comp to play through with Gwen and late game carry potential on the Aphelios. So generally, if I'm looking at the comp, if it goes past 30 minutes, I'm definitely taking PSG. And on J-Team's side, it's trying to outrace them on the tempo.
Well, J-Team, we'll see if they can try and go for that faster sort of game to bring us home here today. But PSG, not for nothing, this team still undefeated in the league. It is always a tall order to try and take a W away from them so far. We have really only seen Boom Esports get even close to it.
Also,
J-Team, they will try to make their mark in history this split. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to throw Impunity in there because I feel like without Maple, Impunity should have won that game. They really should have won that game.
That's fair. I'll give them some credit. I'll give Impunity some credit. They deserve it for sure. But PSG, I mean, it's credit to them for just never dropping one. I mean, they're going for the perfect split. It hasn't happened so far in the PCS. And now for an 18-0, that would be one heck of a thing to do. But we'll have to get through J-Team's fast composition. Try to hold on to this one for a little bit. I do want to keep an eye on that mid jungle. As you mentioned, River and Maple combining up is a very scary combo that Mission and Hana will have to watch out for.
Yeah, this is exactly what PSG like to draft for, is mid jungle synergy. And we have seen the Azir ban as well. I think that's a very clear indication that PSG just don't want J-Team to have shove. And that's kind of what they fight for in any single composition. If there is one fundamental thing that PSG draft for, it's definitely getting Maple and River the ability to roam on the map to create plays elsewhere. Get that this game around. But this time around, I do like J-Team's side lanes quite a bit. We have seen how the Aphelios versus Varus matchup does work out. It does favor the Varus in the early phase of the game, and so does the set as well. So I think this game, there's a lot of opportunities for Hana to actually just outplay in the side lanes and to get the snowball going.
Keep an eye on Hana throughout the game, and it is sort of his job on the team, always enabling them, setting them up, a catalyst, if you will, for the rest of J-Team. But will it be enough to take down first-ranked, playoff-locked, and honestly well on their way to a perfect split if they can manage it? PSG Talon. Starting off some shenanigans. Hana, Woody, and Rest all up here. Let's see if Hanabi ends up falling for it. He doesn't have Flash, critically.
Yeah, really smart play from Manabe. I loved his positioning on the inner try, just going up to the most upward position you could go to. And, Woody is spotted out here, so this should prompt some sort of response for PSG, either going for a deep ward on the other end, just grouping up. Seems like neither team A is going to get a deep ward, as J-Team still keeps a two-man spread on both ramps there.
Yeah, J-Team, kudos to trying something. It didn't quite work out. Doesn't really slow you down too much in the game. Just means that Woody ends up backing, heading down to the bottom side. Always explosive potential when Maple is on an assassin, any assassin, but signature champion, whole nother story. Although Mission taking the denial pick in Lissandra. Try and negate that as much as possible.
Nice
in the games
tap.
That... Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Nice early tap from Maple. He just gets the bone plating in the lane, and that opens him up to get the distort on target +2 auto attacks, or you could wait for level 2 for the electrocute combo, but it's actually quite important getting the aftershock. Not the aftershock, just the bone plating off for those first trades. And we do see Olaf's jungle pathing quite interesting. Taking the Raptors first and then folding back into the bottom side of the map here is going to preserve a bit of his red buff timing than compared to the straight red buff take.
Yeah, interesting. Maple going to find a little bit of extra damage onto Mission, but Mission turns it pretty easily. What I was going to say is that, in the games that PSG have looked, as absurd as it sounds, the weakest, because they've just looked so great on the whole. It has been when Maple hasn't really been able to get off to a start, when Maple has been neutralized through a pick like this. In thinking back to the Boom game, he played the opposite side of this matchup.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best position where you want to put Maple on. I feel like Maple, if you look at his career, his weakest games definitely were on things like Orianna on Victor. where he isn't really allowed to be a threat by himself. I think Maple, even though, you know, we tend to just categorize mid laners as good, very good, super good, and stuff like that, but they definitely have different flavors to them, and Maple is solidly an assassin-minded player. He's always going for your backline. He's willing to take risky trades, and, you know, I did the stats for LMS starting from Season 5, and what we noticed is that Maple actually didn't CS very well. He was always looking for trades, and if you were late against him, you also didn't get to CS, because every minion he was just going to open up on you. And I really like the way he plays. It condenses the game down, and I'm not sure this is a fight Hana wins.
Yeah, River, I think, actually had the inside track on it. Now the flash, but the predict from Kaiwing, and Maple comes out of nowhere to secure up the first blood. For J-Team, that's a disaster.
A much faster clear coming in from from River, and Hana stays around to take the fight. We see the TP coming in from Maple just in time to finish off his base, and that was a very unfortunate for J-Team. I'm not sure why Hana tried to force that one in. They definitely were not in a favorable position. And if you look at the summoners, there's a lot being expended right here. But watch this one again. As you can see, River already a level up. And you do have Maple actually just coming in with the misdirection. This is so smart, actually, from Maple. He leaves on the top side of the map, prompts J-Team to think that they have the inner track in the mid lane, and then he teleports in to get the inside track. That was just great deception coming in from Maple to find the kill there.
Yeah, I gotta correct myself, actually. Kaiwing, he didn't go for a prediction on the Zenith Blade. He just managed to land it before the flash, so he followed all the way through. The timing worked out extremely well, and that really helped pick up the kill. But yeah, Maple, great play to really trick out J-Team. Meanwhile, Woody coming in here, but he gets turned around pretty quickly. That's a lot of damage being dealt by Unified and Kaiwing. Even through the gray health, they might have enough damage to get the kill, and they do in the 2v2 before Hana even can come in. Meanwhile, Maple flashing in, gonna pick up a second for himself, pairs the teleports. We got ourselves a good old party in the bot lane. Opens up with a double kill by Unified, but the rest of PSG should be able to clean house here as Hanabi goes a snipping and chases Mission, I should say, away.
And that ends up being a 3-for-1 in favor of PSG. PSG actually got the initial 3v2, but Woody just went way too far in. And you could see that the stutter coming in from Kaiwing actually made Hana turn back. Hana didn't go all in on that play, so there was a huge time difference in the players actually getting in position. We'll watch this again. PSG actually have full vision here. Okay, so that is how Kaiwing was able to just juke the members around. Hana knows he was spotted, but he doesn't anticipate the turnaround from Kaiwing. Actually goes back to the ward, so even though it was a 3v2, a lot of times it was actually just being a 2v1 and them opening up on Woody. Literally without the early summoner, has nowhere to go, he's just dead here. And even though we have a double TP from J-Team, it's not enough. It's way too late coming into this play to change the facts on the ground that they've already lost 2 members.
Yeah, Wasted ends up being with the presence and rest, nearly goes down in that despite everything. Maple also do gotta love the Eye of the Tiger coming in there as he just double distorts in to pick up the kill. All of a sudden, this LeBlanc 2-0, 5 stacks on that Dark Seal for J-Team. This is already alarm bells ringing.
Yeah, this is really the difference between the top teams of the PCS and the good teams of the PCS. Is just the scales that they play on are so much more detailed, where they use that vision, they're able to juke around, and now River coming back, he knows Lil V has no summoners. If you look at Woody, he's like, I will sacrifice my AD carry, please do not kill me.
And they just chase him away. Yeah, Woody walks away from that one. This is just going to be tower plates. Ooh, in comes the Tom Kench. Does get the knock-up onto Unified. Now Hana Mission. Actually, Kaiwing turning in on a Zenith Blade onto Mission immediately. River will be left for dead. Big commitment. Now Maple comes in to tag for the team. Flash and Cleanse Burn by Unified, but he is out.
Beautiful play coming in here, and this time without the TPs on either side, Mission does have the priority to come in a little bit faster here. Felt like PSG do over chase a bit, but they don't lose their bounties critically on Maple or Unified, so not really that much gold going in the opposite direction, and a very much needed respite for Hana. He was falling behind so far in terms of the CS department. Getting that jungle kill down onto River is going to help him catch up.
Certainly helps out. PSG, though, Still a solid lead in this early game. We didn't really talk about the dragon going down. The mountain actually got picked off while we were in the replay. Looked like it was River combining up with the duo lane. So that objective will fall into PSG's camp. And a little bit of breathing room for J-Team. But, you know, it kind of goes to show J-Team were the ones that had the comp that wants to go early. And they've been set behind because PSG just said, all right, we can beat you at your own game.
Yeah, this game has been a lot about rotations and just out-dueling in the bottom side, but when it really comes down to it, I felt like this is what I was talking about, is that PSG just play on such a more detailed scale compared to J-Team. Their turns and their communication coordination is just a lot better coming in from J-Team. I felt like that was super evident in the bot side play, where Kaiwing was able to fake out Hana in... You know, Hana turned around onto the ward, and then he opened up onto Woody. That was just a beautiful sequence of events, knowing that they had the lead even though they were in a 2v3, and knowing that they were going to get all of their members into the fight a lot sooner. So, now, a lot of times PSG, throughout this game especially, it's not about fast fingers necessarily, but it's about fast decision-making. We've seen this from Maple already. We've seen this from Kaiwing. Lots of mind games.
Yeah. Ooh, once again. Every time Maple goes in onto Mission, and Mission like, oh, I can push you back, Maple's like, nope, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get the trade. I'm going to out-trade you. And that is true to form, going all the way back to that Season 5 you were talking about. That certain thing hasn't changed about Maple.
Yeah, and this is the point where you really don't want to see as a Lissandra player. Lissandra is a cancel-out matchup. She's not really a winning matchup. And when Maple's already ahead like this, the rest of the map has to be very careful.
A little bit of fishing there for Kaiwing and River. Solar Flare does get burned for nothing, but it's on a low enough cooldown not to worry about it. One of those catch ultimates that you can pretty much just pop when you want it.
We do have J-Team with good wards inside PSG's own jungle. And what I think the next play is going to be is probably going to be that bot lane once more. At this point, Lissandra does not have command of the lane anymore. We do have Maple with a TP advantage as well. So J-Team have to play as if Maple can show up anytime into the bot lane. I like what they're doing with Hana, just shadowing as this minion wave is about to get pushed out. Unified is looking to punish here, and I do think they need an escort just to make sure that they're not going to be hunted as this wave pushes across the midway point. Great ward here. This could be J-Team's chance to come back.
Yeah, now they've got the inside track themselves. Still not seen Hana in this one. It's just like a game of chicken. Nothing's going to come of it, though.
Really nicely done coming in by Lil V's, just poking the wave away and not venturing out himself. This is kind of funny how long River's actually been there. I'm sure J-Team actually just knows about it. So they're gonna come
the sad B. He knows.
I think
he's got to
River
know they know.
Yeah.
There we go. Gonna go for it now. Instant flash out of Woody. The turn on the Zenith Blade of Lil V. Teleport coming through here, and that is going to mean a big fat nothing. Maple's not giving up on it just yet, though, as he does distort and go in. Swallowed up by Woody, though. That should open up an opportunity for a Drake.
Yeah, very critical save coming in from Maple. He gets the flash away from Woody, makes sure he can't really tank for his team, and also gets the chains of corruption at the end there. So J-Team don't really have a say in this one. I'm very surprised they're actually sinking teleports into this engage. They have to go if they're going to use it.
Yeah, Mission actually getting caught in between it all. Didn't even have any mana. Does ultimate just for a second, but I don't know if that's going to be enough there. Rest getting a shutdown onto Unified. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, J-Team have found a fight that they wanted unexpectedly, as Hanabi is going to drop to Woody. 1 for 2.
Yeah, that was incredible that they were able to get that. They were down about 2 ultimates coming into the fight, but were still willing to take it all the way. Of course, Kaiwing was down an ultimate here as well. Rest definitely had the greatest play coming into it, just having his target onto Unified. He just gets completely blown up at the start of it, so no damage coming out from the Aphelios, and they're able to mop up afterwards. Kind of surprising. There's a lot of different fronts in that fight. We're going to take another look at it again. River does go a little bit low, but if you look at Mission, he's coming in with very low mana, and there's no engage potential on the right side. So PSG should just be able to walk out from the left here. I wonder what went wrong We see Unify just getting completely dumped and dies before it being able to get his cleanse up. Tana finding the target and the kill at the very end. So a great target selection from J-Team stops PSG from just slipping away on that fight. PSG, I still think they should have been able to manage just walking away there from the left side of the map, but they do stay around for some extra shots, and J-Team punished them for it.
Mission just used himself as bait. He walks straight into the middle of PSG, ults himself, and then just wanders around gathering honey fruit until he gets killed. But he distracts enough of the PSG members that J-Team can actually clean up there. So I guess that's his job in the fight. And it worked out.
Some heroic plays do not look as heroic as they actually are. I'll say that.
Yeah, fair enough. Heroism comes in many flavors, for sure. Maple, getting the chains on once again, lands onto Mission. Just a little bit of poke this time around. PSG, of course, in the aftermath of that, they still had secured the Infernal Dragon, and we will get an Ocean Rift. As this game goes later and later, PSG should be pretty happy with that. Timer's on the Drakes. I don't know if they'll need it, but that's certainly one they can be happy with.
Like this play coming in from J-Team as Mission just get chunked out once more. It's a great flanking opportunity, but I like J-Team staying put in their own lanes. They know that PSG is roaming towards the bot for a 4v2, but because they have TP advantage, they're pretty happy to stand their ground there. This is a bit much though.
Well, that's the Golden Frog. I think they should be able to finish off Tom Kench. Maybe not quite. There we go. Rivergood's going to open that one off. Ragnarok and On trying to walk away as Skywing and he are both burned extremely low. And Ana rooted for days. Unified is able to get the finisher kill, but Mission now gets turned back around. Didn't have the damage to follow up. Or Lil V. It's a quick 2 for 0.
Yeah, that was a bit too much for J-Team. I like that they defended the first tower dive well, but the second one going back into vision while Mission clearly was in no position to come help. That was a bit very suspect there, and they even lose the TP on Mission for nothing gained in that play. So a little bit unfortunate. I definitely feel like J-Team could have waited a bit longer, and this is something that PSG do. Like 24/7 is just bait that they're actually going home, but they're still around, and they get the nice turnaround here. Nearly have a River going down, but he has the red buff ticking plus the Gore Drinker used at a very opportune moment. So he stays alive. Mission is forced to come and save this fight, and really doesn't get anything done here. So I really put that on Woody. I felt like he could have waited a little bit longer before checking that brush. Wasn't necessary to get that done there.
Yeah, it really starts to get caught, and all of a sudden, you know, it's sort of a panic reaction from J-Team as they try to take the fight in Mission. Oh, speaking of panic, I don't really know if there's anywhere for him to go. They actually get the interrupt, and he's ulted himself and gets taken out by River. Bit of an oopsie there.
Yeah, it feels really bad when your utility pick for the early mid game doesn't get going. There's nothing to look forward towards in the later half of the game. There just isn't. And I feel like Mission's having such a hard time right here because all the lanes are free to roam around the map at this point. We have seen Hanabi just leave the lane, and you know, he's perfectly willing to lose CS on the mini wave just to get collapses, force out summoners, and ultimate abilities from Mission.
Ooh, look at Maple.
PSG just understands so well how to play this tempo comp. Oh, Lil V.
Oh, he was so close to getting the deletion. Electrocute Proc almost did it. That's the state of the game right there, Clement. It's a little bit tough for J-Team to find an answer. With Maple coming in there, that is going to be the showstopper. Maple will go down with Ana having the second wind, and now they have the opportunity to open fire, but they've already lost Lil V and Rest here. And PSG, they managed to kick things up in the aftermath. They might lose Maple, but they get a lot more for their trouble.
Yeah, 3 for 1 plus the objective take as well. J-Team, unfortunately, to get that burst damage down, they had to send 2 members outside of their own tower range. They're quickly cleaned up, and unfortunately for Lil V, not able to survive on the backside. Good thing for them is that they do cut down on those stacks on the Majayas. So, you know, it wasn't for nothing. That's about as optimistic as I can get. I'm sorry.
You know, I was gonna say, I think it's a silver lining, but man, is it thin. Maple. He
Yeah.
doesn't get the kill on Lil V here, but yeah, he's becoming a terror. He's doing Maple.
We call this playing a horror game against a Fed LeBlanc in this situation. Lil V comes back with the kill. I want to see how Lil V actually gets taken down here. He seemed fine in the back end, but maybe the needlework.
It's the needlework. Yeah. Hanabi's really started to open up as well. The roam, the pressure, you know, he survived the lane phase just fine, and he's been able to get a lot done as a result. Teleport coming into the top, actually, and he will be able to snip away a couple of these minions, chasing Rest and Hana off. Kaiwing is here as well. Follow through the chase. It looks like J-Team might be looking for a skirmish, but they don't find what they wanted.
Do have to back out in the end. In the meantime, Maple's perfectly happy to just continue to snowball his lead here and build back his stacks. This is where I feel J-Team, they still have a bit of advantage right now in the Rest versus Hanabi matchup, but they haven't been able to utilize it. PSG is doing a very good job of keeping multiple members here, and you can see Rest can definitely take Hanabi on 1v1, but it's not a 1v1 anymore, it's a 3v1 for the most part, as PSG, I think, very smart in their lane allocation, make sure that the only point that can move on J-Team is stuck to his tower.
Yeah, it's never just one member of PSG. They'll pop the Shelly up towards the top side and look to try and open up a tower here. They've already got 2 in the mid and 1 in the bottom, so might as well get the rotation up top, and it seems like they're angling for a second charge. River and Hanabi cutting the wave down to size. Rest here to defend, but how well can he do it? Things flying as J-Team, they are keen to try and stop this, but it looks like they'll just have to settle for killing Shelly after the charge goes through.
Yeah, and this is turning up into a very fast Dragon Soul play with the Ocean. And also, you have the Baron up at this point, where I feel like PSG are far enough ahead where they can just set up traps in the blue buff. J-Team so far has, Baron buff, excuse me. J-Team so far has done a great job at keeping the Baron buff warded, but that's going to become increasingly difficult, as we do see 2 items already completed here coming in for Maple, and no one can match Maple right now. That's the biggest issue. So I think PSG, what they can do is they're probably setting up for Maple's split push into Baron attempt. They can probably force a couple TPs, get a couple picks, and just rinse and repeat.
I don't think Woody is too much of a threat against Hanabi there. There's a 3-level differential, although Hana was not too far behind. Clearing the wards. Yeah, Maple being such a threat right now is a problem, but also you got to start looking at the likes of River and Unified and even Hanabi as potential threats on side lanes or in the team fights, and you know, it just starts to look more and more dire for J-Team. They were supposed to have the early game. They did have a couple of turnarounds, but not enough. It just seemed like every time they managed to get a kill, PSG found 2 or 3 more.
I was very doubtful about J-Team going for a full tempo team comp. J-Team to me are not a tempo team. They can play tempo against the bottom half of the league because they're just so much better as players, but in terms of mentalities and the way they organize themselves, they're actually much more of a team fight focused team. They like to take things and just cross out their eyes, cross their T's, dot their I's, stuff like that. When it comes down to skirmishes, a lot of it has to come through the coordination with the rest of your team, and that's where PSG traditionally has had the massive advantage over J-Team, is just their supporting staff in Kaiwing and River have been that much more in tune with the rest of the squad compared to J-Team. So I'm just a little bit surprised that J-Team went for this tack. I felt like a much better option against PSG is actually going for wave clear and late game team fights, which PSG actually struggle with quite a bit. PSG are not a team fighting team on the flip side. They do not have great engagers out of Kaiwing. They're actually super risky when it comes to engages in the later phases. We have seen a lot of times in international tournaments, Kaiwing's the sole engager. They don't really have Hanabi as the main tank, and then Kaiwing a lot of times if he whiffs, he just dies. So I'm surprised at the way that J-Team postured themselves in the matchup, and I really wanted them to play more towards Rest, which I see as the clear winning point. Okay.
All right. Yeah, Maple's not going to go too ham. Yeah, I think you're right. It's very strange how some teams will, you know, kind of not necessarily play to their strengths, but play the way they think they need to against PSG. It's almost like they get psyched out before the match even starts.
Yeah, I think a large part of winning the battle is knowing yourself. That's unfortunately something that J-Team, to me, hasn't really gotten. They might get Maple here, though.
Yeah, Maple actually kind of jukes himself there, and that is going to be enough to take him down. PSG are going to try to force the issue anyways, though. Into the choke point they go. The needlework goes flying, and with a little bit of help, Unified's able to pick up the first of the kills. That showstopper is going absolutely nowhere. Rest trying to stay alive with the tank of it all, and Mission getting cut down to size. That's the triple kill coming in for Unified. Like clockwork, Maple gets baited, but it's J-Team that lose all of their lives.
PSG instantly know that they can still take the fight because they're up by about 8,000 gold before that fight started. Very willing to just power through, and I love the way that Unified positioned in that fight. It was so smart to go around the bend, attacking outside of vision and having a wall between him and the rest of J-Team. Just meant that only Rest was on him, and he was able to dodge up beautifully on the Haymaker, just keep on dishing damage on the flip side. And in the meantime, Hanabi in the front line, he's just way too powerful. Most of the ultimates have already gone down onto LeBlanc, so there's nothing really stopping Gwen from just taking down the rest of the team. We're going to watch that again. Great find onto Maple. Love that, but they do expend 2 ultimates for it, and in comes Gwen. Meanwhile, watch how Unified positions himself. Goes away from Mission on the Glacial Path. Isn't going to get targeted. Mission can't find damage after the team fight. Nabi already kills the left side of the team, and he's going to be easily able to chase down Mission afterwards. It just looks like a bit of a one-sided slaughter at this point, with PSG also picking up the Ocean Soul.
Oh, yeah. 10,000 gold lead, Ocean Soul in the pocket. Definitely well on their way to getting a 14th victory here in the PCS summer. Nabi's starting to become a terror as well. Yeah, PSG in the choke point fights, that was pretty deadly. And it really, no Maple, no problem. I think they might even be able to just start this Baron.
I think they will. This is what I was talking about with J-Team's composition. They just don't have a lot of dynamic carry potential in the later phase of the game. I feel like they're very much single target focused, and once they use most of their abilities and cooldowns on one target, they don't have the damage to clean up on the rest of the team. Way too much utility here. Maple's going to get a great find on Mission, but Rest does get a great angle.
Yeah, Rest going in. Is going to be a lot of damage onto Unified into the back, and Maple actually drops to Lilvi. Baron still in play here, as River will finish it off, and they turn the fight so far ahead, they can still dish the damage, and Hanabi goes a skipping and a slashing, as the Tom Kench is trying to make his escape, but will not find it. Unified picking up the finishing blow, and the rest of the gank squad is here, as they will be able to find enough onto Hana, despite getting caught, despite Maple going down, despite L odds. Well, PSG really even them out. 1 for 3, as well as the Baron.
Yeah, I think the fights are going to go this way very predictably from now on. They spend another huge chunk of abilities just to kill Maple. Rest is alone in the Baron pit with no members being able to get past Highwing in that fight. He nearly takes down Unified, but Unified still has the flashes, tops over the wall, and is completely safe here.
Desperation fight, looks like it. This is going to be the last chance dance here for J-Team, but not much of one as Unified picks up a quick kill onto Mission. 40-second death timers, nothing to sneeze at now as PSG on the cusp of victory. They're actually going to have Nabi back, but he has teleport, so he's coming right back into this one, as in the front line is River, just running roughshod over the rest of the team. In the back was Rest, trying to get a kill, not able to find it. Woody picked off by the Parasol and the needlework of Hanabi, and that is going to be all she wrote. PSG, 14 games and 14 victories as they take their time on the Nexus, but they will take it out to secure themselves yet another win in the PCS Summer.
Congratulations to PSG, once again asserting their dominance over the rest of the contenders in the PCS. J-Team, Boom Esports, Beyond Gaming, Machi, none of them have been able to really shake PSG this time around. It's just such a clean win. I loved what they did there. A lot of it was just based on mind games. Like the early fake out from Maple, that was so well played. It goes into the top side, Mission thinks he has the inside track, and then Maple teleports back down in. That was just beautiful. I think this is what really separates PSG from the rest of the teams here. It's a lot of times I don't even think like PSG are that far ahead in mechanics. but in terms of like out mind gaming the opponent and knowing how to get small tempo advantages, they are second to none.
Yeah, they're a smart team, and they're playing on a whole different level, right? There's so many considerations, there's so many little things they do to set up plays, like not just moments in advance, but even minutes in advance. And I think that just gives them such an edge over their opposition time and again. We see it. J-Team, I think J-Team really, they drafted a comp that really wanted to go early. They got neutralized pretty quickly. There were a few fights that I thought, hey, maybe this is going to work. Like that river fight on the back half of the Dragon take by PSG, mission kind of distracting as the rest of the team was able to come in and bring up the rear. I thought maybe this is a chance, but PSG just, they kind of shrug those things off. They never seem to be deterred by it, and they come back stronger every time.
Yeah, I think there was a huge difference in the way they played out, treated the top lane that really, I think was a bit of an eye-opener for me. If you watch the early game, Rust was actually up by 20 and even sometimes 30 CS, but what Hanabi was willing to do is he actually was able to pincer mission multiple times, just coming from the top side. Like, he didn't even care about the way. He was like, well, okay, I'll lose 6 minions, it doesn't even matter, I'm just gonna come down here.
It's all about globals. You can sack the lane. You don't need to win the lane to win the game. And Hanabi, I mean, he's no stranger to weak side, absolutely.
And that was a really peculiar thing to me, is that we didn't see any resources actually sunk into Rest. So even though Rest did have a sizable CS lead, that didn't transfer to anything else on the map. And PSG actually, they later had the bot lane then filled up to the top side when Hanabi was getting pushed in, and that just meant Rest couldn't do anything anymore. Like, sure, he's better 1v1, he has 2-1-2, he's got a great score line, but there's 3 people sitting in his lane. What do you want him to do? So this was PSG just not only winning out the bottom side of the map, but then transferring that to shut down Rest completely. It was just beautiful to watch. We had no fight whatsoever from Mission and the rest of the members from J-Team, really. And I hope that they try some different configurations. This definitely wasn't what they wanted to go for, in my mind.
No, I think there was some confusion about what exactly it was they wanted to do, because they drafted for something very specifically, but they still kind of played that slow control game. And I want to see the next time these teams match up, J-Team does something a little bit different as well. You just got to turn the nameplates off against PSG. If you're going to get yourself psyched out, you got to just pretend it's just a scrim. You're not playing against them. You're playing somebody else. Whatever works. So far, though, nothing has. PSG at 14-0, only been challenged by a handful of teams here. They just look so damn good.
Yeah, they definitely do, and I'm actually getting a little bit worried for them. No competition in the PCS is never a good sign if you're the top team here. Unified, no surprises, going back to the Aphelios in this one, 10-1-6. I think a lot of it was just the ability to survive in the laning phase as the ganks were coming through. Xin Zhao made multiple visits. They were always able to survive against Hana. Actually, he did die once to the Rest and Hana combination in the team fights, but the laning phase was stellar for them. You don't really expect that in the Varus versus Aphelios matchup, but because of the early skirmishes and how the summoners were blown on the side of J-Team, they never were able to utilize that serrated dark edge and punish Aphelios in the lane. Unified just got away way too quickly, was 4-1-4 even with the death, and was able to clean up every single time that J-Team threw all of their abilities on Maple.
Yeah, Unified was doing a great job. Positioning, I think, was really, really smart from him. We kind of come to expect that from this player, but certainly really stepped it up in all of those extended fights. Maple kind of acted as bait, whether intentionally or otherwise. I had half a mind to think, like, maybe he's letting himself get caught just so his team could just find a 4v5 and just straight up win it. That happened like twice, and it worked out well both times.
Yeah, J-Team, that's the problem just with the draft. They have no damage once the first initial burst is down. Like, they don't. I really think they needed Fiora in that draft. Fiora would have provided them with some semblance of side lane split push, and if you get the first kill with the burst damage, then you can actually reset the entire team fight, because you just heal your entire team up. So yeah. A little bit disappointed that they didn't go for that one. Instead, they went for a one-shot combo, but they didn't really get chances to play around the Drake. We need to take a look at today's results so far. Honestly, no upsets today.
Yeah, no major surprises. I think that those two teams were pretty closely matched, and Berjaya Dragons, kudos to them for pulling out that win at the beginning of the day. you know, we were tracking a number of other matchups, but they were always going to be a little bit tough for teams like Liab, for teams like Impunity. And then, of course, in this last one, you know, the hype up was that maybe J-Team can find something. They tried an early game comp, didn't quite play to it. PSG Talon were able to come up with a victory, and now on a 14-0 win streak here, not just speed running the PCS, but trying to go for 100% as well. And then, you know, looking across the board, Boom Esports, Megabank Beyond Gaming, both at 10-3, Machi at 10-4, but all those teams locked into the playoffs. J-Team, you start to see the fall off there as they have only 8 wins. Still a respectable performance, but it's then after that everything starts to get a little sideways. Berjaya Dragons and Hong Kong Attitude both with 4 wins apiece, and Impunity bringing up the rear for the playoff contention, but Liab are hot on their heels.
Ooh, this is going to get really close at the bottom side of the league. Honestly, Berjaya and Hong Kong Attitude are not really out of it just yet either. Still 4 games to go, and Liab could close that 2-win game streak here and shake up our postseason outlook. Really taking a look at tomorrow's game so far. A pretty important day for Impunity as they have a must-win against Alpha, and then a match against Machi Esports. You know, Impunity did finish 6th place in Spring Split. They want to keep that one going for sure. And Liab, biggest upset ever, maybe. And then the final game of the day.
It's possible.
The final game of the day is definitely what I'm looking forward to. Megabank Beyond Gaming, Boom Esports.
This one's going to be hype. This one's going to be so hype because Boom beat Megabank Beyond Gaming the last time around. And I cannot wait to see what happens between these two. Like, really way to close it out with a bang on week 4. Obviously, both the teams are locked for playoffs, but, you know, I love that Beyond Gaming are the ones that surprised in the Spring Split and kind of came out of nowhere. And now Boom are kind of doing that in the summer. So it's like they're kind of taking the legacy, and I want to see if Beyond Gaming can actually kind of knock them down a peg and just say, no. We're still the new hotness. We still want to stay the exciting team of the league. But Boom are definitely keen to try and knock their block off on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Boom Esports, they have a really tough road ahead of them. It's the highway to hell. They have to play 1 through 5 coming up next. So good luck to Boom Esports. I personally think that they're going to be taken down just a peg, but we'll see what happens tomorrow against Megabank as we go into, you know, closing in onto the final week of regular season here.
Absolutely. We got 1 day and then 1 week left until the playoffs, but that is going to close us out for week 4, day 2. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you here tomorrow, same time, same place. But until then, be well.